It is Journaling with Jay, and not seen my face before. My name is Jay, and we do commentary on this channel. So today, I specifically want to talk about Black teenagers and the takeovers that recently happened, and we're also going to be talking about the word Black fatigue. So let's get started with the Black teenager takeovers, right? So if you guys have not heard, on the news everywhere, right, during winter break, right, roughly a few months ago, right, teenagers were taking over a mall. So basically what had happened was the teenagers were posting on Instagram and they were like, y'all, pull up here and right? So everybody pulled up to this mall and taked over everything.
Citizen video showing one of those large swaths of young people swarming and Nassau County Police arriving to meet them at the Green Acres Mall. We're told the unauthorized gathering was promoted on social media. Pix 11 obtaining a flyer announcing the teen takeover starting at 3 p.m. Thursday and only ending once they're forced out.
And multiple takeovers that are happening, and how this is something that we need to talk about as being a Black woman in the Black community today. I feel like my personal kind of view on this, I feel like it's kind of like saying like the white people calling us the N-word, and we're acting like the N-word, right? We're acting really rowdy. We're acting ghetto. We're acting uncooperative, right? In airports, in beaches, in third spaces like parks, movie theaters, right?
A woman is being publicly called out by police after organizing a spring break event, and now she could be forced to pay for everything. Her name is Aaliyah Brooks. This happened in Daytona Beach, Florida. She promoted a spring break takeover online. No permits, no official approval, but the event still went on. Crowds showed up. Things got out of control. Trash was left everywhere. Police had to step in. Fire, EMS, cleanup crews, all deployed. And now she may be responsible for all of it. Authorities say they warned her in advance. A cease and desist letter was sent, but she ignored it. So now it escalated. Police publicly released her name and identity.
Museums, pools, all in all, right? But these teenagers are deciding to pull up and fight at these third spaces.
It's the latest incident in what police and city leaders have described as a growing trend of so-called teen takeovers.
And where were you?
Right there.
Jason Hale says his vehicle was one of about 30 that were damaged.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. The hood is completely messed up. It's terrible. I'd say like $1,000 worth of damage probably. I have dents everywhere, footprints everywhere.
These gatherings, often organized on social media, have been popping up across Chicago, leading to fights, property damage, injuries, and in some cases, death. Jason believes it's all about kids having the right guidance growing up.
I could say, looking on a perspective of how Black individuals act is really disgusting. Is really disgusting, right? The males, right? If you guys don't know YNs, right? The males are in gangs. They're listening to this music. They're listening to, all these different idols, right? Different people online, right? And it's just like, it's society. It's society. It's the media. It's the parents.
It's very unfortunate what happened to that teenager in Roy Wilkins Park, but this points to a bigger picture. Over the past 10 to 15 years, the teens of New York City have become more and more violent, roguish, raucous, you name it. And I really feel like it's because there is a lack of resources and a lack of places for them to go. When I was a kid, I had Oliver's Boys and Girls Club. There was things made specifically for kids, like that little truck that used to go around with like a cartoon character and have books and stuff like that, and put on like little puppet shows or whatever for us. We had music that was made for kids bop specifically. There was teen spaces and kid spaces dedicated specifically to teens and kids.
On the other note, I had to change my camera. On the other note, right, our teenagers, right? Our teenagers are growing up in the society where their mothers, their dads are acting like a fool and cussing in front of them, and they think that's okay. So they go outside and they do X, Y, and Z, and then they get in trouble, and then they get handcuffed, and then they get called ghetto and loud, and then they get called all these different names. And it's something that the parents have to teach our children, how to act outside, how to be proper, how to dress proper, how to manage yourself in the society. Because as a black woman today, it's really disgusting how black people treat black people, and how black people treat other races, and how these kids are really not understanding that fighting in the streets, fighting in these parks, fighting in the movie theaters, fighting in these third spaces where you should have fun and be together, it's not like that anymore. It's sad. So, all in all, I want you guys to get from this video that I'm not trying to hate on the black community, right? Of black community, I do, right? But it's really sad in how our teenagers are acting, and how social media has a hold on them, and how clout has a hold on them, and how this is something that needs to be talked about, and how parents need to take more accountability for their child's actions. When children are in parks and wanting to square up and fight, and then the cops show up and it's a white cop, you know how that plays out. You know exactly how that plays out. And it's sad to tell your son, hey, the cops don't like black people. The cops don't like this, that, but you gotta tell them. You gotta tell them. You gotta tell them how to act a certain way so they're not in jail for something that they did not do. For something that could trickle down into their life, something that could traumatize them, right? So, all in all, from this video, what I want to gather, and I want people to understand that these teen takeovers, these black teenager takeovers, are a depiction of what white people call us, of what happens when you do not teach your children in the home first, when you do not acknowledge that this is not how your child is supposed to behave. And I get it. A teenager wants to go outside, want to hang out with their friends and do X, Y, and Z, right? You have a GPS, great. Do you know where they're going with? Is there a chaperone? Is there someone there? Instead of your teenager gonna be on the news because they're saying they destroyed everything in the store. Everything. And it's not just children, right? We could go on and talk about adults, and how, the George Floyd, and how that happened, and how people were looting, riots and all that stuff, right? So it's not just our black teenagers, it's the adults too. But specifically, I want to talk about the teenagers because I feel like that's not talked about enough. And I feel like going on the bus, going on the train, going to the airport, going wherever, right, that requires other people in the same vicinity, in the same environment. These teenagers are just out of control, right? And I'm not gonna say like, wow, like, I'm hating on, no, I'm not hating on the teenagers. I'm not hating on the teenagers, right? It's influenced by media, influenced by these TV shows, right? Baddies, Bad Girls Club, right? All these TV shows where they're fighting, throughout conflict, literally physical fighting throughout conflict, right? Not having a father in the picture. There's a lot of things that requires this kind of talk to actually happen, and it's not all the teenagers' faults, right? I'm so glad that when I watched the news and when I watched that takeover that happened in that mall, right, they were saying that the parents are getting arrested, and a lot of people were like, why are their parents getting arrested? It's a teenager. But you brought this child into this life, right? You have to teach them how to behave in proper settings. It's just etiquette. It's just etiquette, right, for a child. You don't want your child to be all rowdy and ghetto and da da, and then people are all like, oh my god, this child is ghetto and da da, and then it's gonna cause ruckus. Cause I feel like there's a lot of instances on the bus where kids are coming from school and they're talking to their friends, cool, but they're talking loud. They're talking loud. And you know what that stereotype is? Black people are always loud. Black people do not know how to be quiet. Black people cannot keep their mouth shut. Black people are always fighting. Black people do not know how to be patient or cooperative. And then we ask ourselves, why are these white people saying the N-word to us? Why are these white people are trying to get under our skin? Because look at how we act. And I'm not standing up for the white folks at all. No, I'm not. I'm not. What the white folks are doing to us are bad, right? We all know that. We all know that all these white people who want to say the N-word just to say it and get on our skin is horrible, right? But we have to look out for ourselves as a black woman, as a black man, to be like, how am I acting? How am I being cooperative? What am I doing, right? That's all I gotta say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know your thoughts down below about this topic.